One fine day, the seller, which is also known as the Candy Crush Ltd, one of the established beverage company in Hong Kong, had received the purchase order from E-Lotus Ltd, which is the claimant, for 3,500 boxes of beverages, where in here we will refer as the goods for business purpose. Hence, in order to ship the ordered goods from the port of Hong Kong, the People's Republic of China, to the port of Penang, Malaysia, the seller had decided to use MV Evergreen Ocean, which is the respondent vessel, to ship for the claimant. Thereafter, seller began to prepare the items and ship them to the claimant together with the invoice as soon as she accepts the purchase order from the claimant. Costs, insurance and freight, which is CIF, was entered by the seller for securing the potential shipping liability. However, without considering the repercussion, the respondents placed the claimant's belongings on the vessel's deck, where a large hole allowed seawater to enter during severe rainstorm. The respondent refused to investigate the vessel's deck hole and insisted on continuing the voyage. The claimant goods on the ship deck fell into the ocean during a strong rainfall while being transported to Penang, Malaysia. When the vessel arrived at port of Penang, Malaysia, the claimant's agent was happily and ready to receive the goods as instructed by the claimant at the port. And upon receiving all necessary shipping documentation, the claimant had made full payment of the goods to the seller. However, as the saying goes, things did not go well as expected, as the claimant agent discovered that their goods in the vessel were all missing. The claimant has then suffered a huge loss up to Rm 1 million ringgit due to the missing of the cargo. The claimant are frustrated and even mad to seek damage from the seller. Nonetheless, after receiving the frustration phone call from the claimant, the seller angrily stood her ground and alleged that they were discharged from the liability for the missing goods, as in fact, she had fulfilled her responsibility from the goods once the goods had reached the port of the buyer, which is the claimant. Hence, the liability of the goods has been shifted to the respondent, which arranged for the shipments of the goods. Thereafter, the seller and the claimant keep arguing on each other's standpoint, mainly regarding the responsibilities of the missing goods. Thereafter, the claimant had gone to seek for a legal advice regarding disputes from a legal counsel, and after the lengthy discussion in between them, the claimant agreed with the seller's statement during a phone call that all the missing goods and losses suffered by the claimant had shifted to the respondent, which is the carrier company, to be liable and not the seller. After undergoing multiple efforts of arguing on each other's standpoint regarding the liabilities of the missing goods, the respondent stands strongly denies of their liabilities on the claimant's damage and shift their liabilities on the seller by arguing that the liabilities were in fact lies on the seller, as they have carried out their duties diligently, which the seller should be the only party accountable for the missing items. It is the only carrier firm responsible for shipping the claimant's products. The respondent should therefore be released from obligation. After that, based on the aforementioned factors, there are disagreement between claimant and the respondents, and since the parties wanted to resolve the disagreement as quickly as possible, and because it involved international commercial disagreement involving maritime law, they decided to use arbitration as an alternative to protracted and expensive court proceeding.
Today, we will be the arbitrator for both of you, the claimant and the respondent. Anything mentioned in today's section will not be disclosed to anyone without the approval and the agreement of the claimant and respondent. Claimant Counsel, you may now begin with your
Good
submission.
day, Miss Arbitrators. My name is Loy Shim. I'm here to represent the claimant for arbitrating the matter of international commercial regarding maritime dispute between E-Lotus Limited, which is the claimant, and MV Evergreen Oceans, the respondent. Miss Arbitrator, may it please for me to submit the summary of case before I submit my submission, where the claimant, which is known as E-Lotus Limited in Malaysia, has made a purchase order of 3,500 boxes of beverage from the seller, which is known as Candy Crush Limited from Hong Kong. The dispute is, however, Miss Arbitrator, after the respondent vessels arrived at Penang, all the goods ordered by my client, the claimant, were all went missing. After my client, the claimant, have paid the full payment of the goods to the seller. Nevertheless, the liability of the missing goods should be held on the respondent, which is the carrier company, not the seller, who has shipped the goods for the claimant by using the respondent vessels. Therefore, Miss Arbitrators, our claims are loss of profit, loss of goods, and also shipping charge against the respondent.
Respondent Counsel, you may begin your submission.
Good day, Ms. Arbitrator. My name is Hanom, here to represent the respondent for arbitrating the above matters raised by the claimant. We submitted that respondent was only carriage company and its responsibility only arose during the transit of the goods. Once the goods reach the port, the liability of the carriage company comes to end. Hence, the claimant should not claim the damage from the respondent side.
Claimant Counsel, anything you want to add?
Yes, Miss Arbitrator, I still disagree with Respondent Counsel, as it is to be noted that seller responsibility are excluded once the goods has been shipped out by the seller. So all of the cost liability will be fall under respondent, which is the carrier company for ship for the goods for the claimant.
After listening to both of your submission, we are now agreeing with the claimant's submission that once the goods has arrived at the claimant, which is the buyer destination, then the seller is no longer responsible for the losses or missing of goods, while the respondent, who acts as the carrier company, should be the sole party who will be responsible for the losses of missing of goods on the board of shipping.
So, I shall enter the decision and order an arbitration award for the claimant as a settlement agreement, which the respondent has to pay for the claimant claims. And I should reiterate that this settlement agreement should be legally binding between both of you. Any breach of it will cause the further liability, and the breach party can be sued in the court proceeding.